Hey guys. All right. I got something interesting today that you don't see, well, maybe a whole lot of in Canada, or at least maybe they're not that popular. People aren't really showing them off. But I got this and it had some issues, and I've been working through these issues. And what we have here, we're just not going to get too excited. What we got here is a GI stove, and it's these things are really interesting. I found them when I first saw these things. I really thought, hey, you know what, that might be a cool idea. Let's get one of those. And it comes with tools, and it comes with let me see if I can fight with this thing. When you put it back in the package, when you put it back in the little storage thing, it's a bit of an argument to get it in there. It's got its own funnel. This tool will pretty much adjust just about everything on it. So this thing had some pretty serious issues when I got it. The valve here, this valve was like seized so bad. It was so bad to the point where you couldn't, I nearly had to grab it with pliers to get it to come undone. The tip cleaner for the generator, or they call it the vaporizer in this case, because vaporizer is very short. It resides right in here, this very short little deal in here. But I figured out what was going on, and I was actually really kind of disappointed because I could clearly see that at some point someone had offered this this stove, this little sort of personal cook stove. They offered it some attention, but they did a few things that they shouldn't have done. Not the least of which being utilizing thread sealants in places where they shouldn't even have had the damn thread sealant even around them, because that was the reason why this was acting an arse, was because unfortunately on the stem, which has it has a point, in the end it goes in and it cuts off the flow of air and fuel, pushes the little there's a little metering rod, a fuel metering rod in there, and it pushes it down. And it wasn't even able, it was so bound up in the threads, it wasn't even able to reach all the way to the back so that the point on the end of the needle could seat. And it was because there was a bunch of thread sealant stuck in there, and I have no idea how it got in there. But I took the valve packing and the nut and everything, and I took that all off, and what I did was I put some Prussian blue on the point, a machinist dye, Prussian blue we call that. And I drove that in there until it started to get stiff, and I took it out and I looked at it and went, Jesus, it's not even seating. And I drove it in again. No, it's not even seating. So I got an electric drill, and I hooked it onto there's a sort of a, not threaded, but it's like boss, like splined almost, where this knob goes on. And I gently, on low speed, drove it in till it stopped, and I pulled it out and drove it back in till it stopped, and pulled it out and drove it back in till it stopped. Then I put the knob on, and I did, and it was beautiful at that point. So what it did was it worked through whatever sealant was that had been in there, and we got that sort of ironed out. And that was about the only problem. So other than we checked, I'm just going to put some pressure in this, because I'm going to try and light this for the first time. I have not tried to light it. This should be fun. These things love to flame up, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. And I'm going to use the torch. You know what? When you're out, if you're and this is the thing about these things, guys. I'm going to talk about this for a minute. It wouldn't surprise me if a number of the GIs from United States in the Vietnam War, or whenever this is a World War II stove, These particular ones, this is an A47. It says so right here, A47 by Coleman. It was released after the Second World War. This is a 530 stove. They had a 520, and it was issued to the GIs all throughout the war in varying connotations. Like most of them are quite similar. I've seen them. But the 530s, the A and B 46s and the A and B 47s, and then it was discontinued. And I have a feeling it's, this thing it's pretty top heavy. So, but I'm going to try and light this, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some heat on the generator before I even try and open the fuel up. I want to see what happens. Open it up, see if it's going to pick up fuel. Okay, it's picking up fuel. What do you know? This is what I was talking about. These poor guys out in the field. They're out in the field with that noise going to make a cup of coffee. How long do you think it's going to be before the enemy finds them? That's about the only thing I'd ever have to complain about this. But and of course, they give you this, right? And this is what it's for. This is the tool. It works on just about every part of this. And here we can boil our water, and the other half too. See, it's the same thing. But now I got this because I found it both to be an interesting artifact and quite fascinating from the perspective of restoration. And I was really happy that I'd seen somebody that had worked on it already, and they'd done the best they could, and they ran out of steam. They couldn't figure it out, or they just didn't want to take it to the end. But that is one noisy. That is noisy. I don't know about you guys, but I wouldn't want to be all clandestine in the middle of the jungle trying to make a cup of coffee with this bad boy. I mean, honestly, from a collector's perspective, I think it's awesome. I hope everybody enjoyed that, or at least, there's a lot of more history to these things I'd be happy to talk about, but you don't want the video running too long. I just wanted, oh, there you go, you nasty old bugger, it went out. I guess we can't clean it like we can with the lanterns. We'll just shut it off. I think that's all that we're going to do here today. At least I wanted to try and see if it would work. If the repairs that I figured out as I was going through what was wrong with this stove, whether or not that was going to function correctly, and sure enough it does. So thanks for taking a look.